Hey, when did you most recently feel wholly and fully loved? Or when did you feel loved the most? What happened? What did that look like? How did that feel to you? Where were you? That's what I want us to think about today. We've been talking about it in this series about what's love got to do with it. No. That was the Tina Turner song last week. No, we're talking about love is in the air. And here's the situation. We're using Luke chapter 7, an experience with Jesus at a religious leader's house. His name is Simon. And we're seeing the contrasts of love, what love is and what love is not. Last week we looked at the people who were in this story. So we looked at Simon, the religious leader, the host. We looked at Jesus. We looked at the friends of Simon who were, compatriots in all the legalism and the religious stuff. And then the sinful woman who shows up. And she's kind of the catalyst. I mean, she's the one that breaks the mold and blows up the whole dinner party. And this week I want us to consider the contrasts. Contrasts in the expression of love. Virtually no expression of love. And he contrasts them. And he says to Simon, Simon, do you see this woman? When I walked into your house, you did not wash my feet, but she has washed my feet with her tears and dried them with her hair. That's an extravagant contrast. And again, we're looking at, maybe you could say the superficial love, the shallow love, the frothy love that's like not really love. It's like it's the cotton candy that you ate and disappeared in your mouth. It's the chocolate bar that put pounds on you that you didn't need. It's the flowers that withered because you forgot to put them in the water or what. It's the frothy, it's the superficial. And those can all be nice and we acknowledge and we're grateful and they give us a warm feeling, but they're not extravagant. They're not all in. Whereas this sinful woman, her expressions of love were substantial and contrasting to superficial. They were heartfelt rather than thin and irrelevant or non-existent, because she put all of herself into this expression, into her expression. So she's crying and with her tears washing Jesus' feet, drying his feet with her hair. And then Jesus says to Simon, when I walked in the door, you didn't greet me with a kiss, but she has not stopped kissing my feet. And you're like, what's with the kiss thing? Well, at this time in history, in this culture, a kiss was a customary greeting. Here in the U.S., oftentimes a greeting is we shake hands. But over in Middle East, especially at this time in history, you would greet somebody with a kiss on the cheek, like a welcome. And that was normal. It was customary. It was just kind of the common courtesy. And when Jesus walked into Simon's house, Simon invited Jesus for dinner. And Simon did not wash his feet. Why that's a big deal? Because they're walking in sandals on dirt roads behind animals who have, left deposits on the road. So their feet are disgusting and nasty. This is a big deal because they didn't sit at a chair and a table. They rather sat at a small low table with their feet on the floor and maybe in somebody else's lap. So the feet was close to anybody else as well as the food. So you want to wash the feet because you certainly don't want the dirt from the road and in the eating space. So washing the feet is customary. A kiss is customary. Common courtesy. And then Jesus says, she has anointed my feet. But he says to Simon, you didn't anoint me at all. And what he says to Simon is so the contrast, and he puts this in the light. And he says it in front of all of Simon's friends. And he accentuates and applauds the sinful woman because of her extravagant, over-the-top, heartfelt, all-in expression of love. And what he says to Simon is, yes, she's a sinful woman. She has sinned a boatload. But her great love has created great forgiveness. He who has sinned much, because of the forgiveness, loves much. He who has sinned little loves little. And the contrast here, Jesus puts this in front and he says, the sinful woman, even though she's sinned a lot, she's all in. Her heart is fully engaged. But you, on the other hand, Your heart is not fully engaged. You're more dialed into your piety and holiness and purity than you are into love. And so I think it's important for us to really acknowledge that love isn't just the frothy and the superficial. It's not just kind of tick the box, but rather it's a very deep, heartfelt engagement. And we love because we are loved. And if we're not loving well, then that's an indication that maybe we're not letting God love us. Stop! We're doing a joke break. I know, you're like, your jokes don't need a break, they need the trash. Put them in the trash can, Sarah. Well, yeah. However, a little bit of groaning or levity might be fun for you and me. So here is your joke. Who always has a date on Valentine's Day? Right? Valentine's Day, you might know it as Single Awareness Day. Sad. You're like, that's not the joke. No. Who always has a date on Valentine's Day? The calendar. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, the teaching will be much better than the joke. Let's get back to it. So at this time, I just encourage you, take some moments. God, help me to know and experience you loving me. What does that look like and feel like? Not just in a religious environment, but just in my day-to-day living. Help me to experience and be aware of you loving me. Next week we're going to finish up this series and we're going to see what Jesus says to the sinful woman. He says 3 key things. We're going to see what those are because they will help you in experiencing God's love for you.